All right, guys, we're back. We got another Flight Test Community Association video. Thank you for checking out our secondary channel.
Yep.
But we got some stuff to talk about.
Yeah, lots been going on here. We were actually traveling a lot last week, but the last 2 weeks we've been doing a lot behind the scenes, and it's time to kind of bring you guys up to speed. Just before we get into that, the March 2nd deadline for submitting your content is coming up closer and closer. If you guys have any other questions or resources, we did do a video, and a lot of other great people have as well, on some of the key points to really focus on and making those comments. So please, if you haven't yet, please consider doing so. Those comments are going to be the most impactful thing you can do for the recent NPRM.
Yeah, if you're new to the channel too, this secondary flight test channel, and maybe you haven't seen all the videos, go back and watch them, because they're all kind of in chronological order, and basically we're talking about the NPRM and the future regulations that are coming down the pipe from the FAA and the US government regarding our awesome hobby. So it's pretty serious stuff. It's a little bit different tone than our normal content. And if you're new to the situation, and if you're new to the channel, make sure you go back and watch all the content, because it's all relevant to what we're talking about today.
And we now have something new that's really going to hopefully help with that process here. We actually have a website. We started with a YouTube site because we had to react so quickly. And although we're working behind the scenes, we didn't have much infrastructure. That's all changed now. FTCA.flighttest.com is going to take you straight to our website, and there you're going to have news, you're going to have different resources, you're going to actually have things like a timeline where you can see how all this came to being. You'll be able to see the videos like what we're talking about right here, and we're going to be piling tons and tons of resources into this site. So hopefully it's a hub where people can come to kind of keep on top of this. But hopefully after we leave this chapter, where it's kind of like a dark chapter with the regulations and everything, hopefully we can start covering the positive things, the education, the events, the community, the creation of groups, people flying all over the country, connecting with each other, and really bringing out the best of what this hobby is. Yeah,
so we've been pretty busy. We back about a month ago, we went to CES where you spoke on a panel. That video is also on the channel. You can check that out. But also we got in touch with quite a few key people within the drone industry space, but also within the FAA. We got to shake hands and talk directly with a bunch of representatives from the FAA, which they're great people. Turns out they're just like us, you and I. They have a big task at hand. They're trying to figure it out. So I think we're all optimistic to be working with them. And that was just the beginning. We have future meetings coming up. We're going to be going back to Washington, D.C. here in a couple weeks. And obviously we'll be bringing you guys along, and we'll bringing you up to speed on everything that we learn throughout this. So.
Yep. Pretty much next week. We're leaving next week for a couple days. We're going to have a couple days chock full of meetings here. We will bring you guys up to speed once that happens. But the good news is all this is taking place hopefully before the deadline for the comment period. So we're going to do our best to really try to shape some of these arguments and really kind of educate them. And Alex, we have a pretty cool solution that we're working on that we're going to be doing that's going to hopefully paint a picture, because as we mentioned in a previous video, when we talked to some of the people at the FAA, we realized they didn't have a clue as to what the hobbyists really look like. They pictured everyone was out going to Best Buy, buying like a DJI Phantom and stuff and just flying them without having knowledge. But they also assumed that everyone had that technology that they were proposing in the first place, and nothing could have been further from the truth. They didn't understand what a true model airplane was really equipped with, how it flew, tons and tons of things. But when it came down to our core community, they're clueless.
There's a lot of different aircraft that kind of within FAA buzz terms kind of gets lumped into UAS or drones, and using exclusively those terms I think kind of brings about just kind of a certain perception of what it is that people are actually out in the world doing, what people are actually out in the world flying. So we think that we have some pretty interesting ways I think that we can kind of help educate a little bit, and we're really looking forward to do that. And we're actually very optimistic about our meetings and kind of getting those in before this comment period closes. That being said, I know that we've seen some comments of some people saying, hey, why aren't you talking about this on your main channel? You created this secondary channel. Part of the reasoning for that is that we want to be able to speak candidly in a long form, and we certainly are going to use the main channel to request that people take significant action. And so you'll see that video coming out very soon on the main channel. We want to thank everybody that has shared this channel with other people that care about it. I feel like we have a really, really good nucleus of people here that are on this channel right now that really are thoughtful about the things that we're talking about, care about them, are concerned about them, just like we are. But we're really looking forward to kind of before the comment period closes, have one more big push to leave comments, and we would really appreciate your guys' help and helping us make that push and getting as much traffic and energy to it as possible.
Yeah, and so just like Josh was saying earlier, the FAA's perspective on the hobby and like who a hobbyist actually is a little bit off.
It's a lot of it off.
Yeah, so and it's no one's fault. We're not here to point fingers at anyone, but basically the FAA's best interpretation of what a recreational hobbyist is has been painted by, just to put it bluntly, like people who have an agenda with like a specific niche of the hobby. And you guys know us, we like everything that flies. It's not just DIY planes. It's not just multi-rotors. No, it's everything. FPV, racing, DJI quads, we love those too. We love them all, and we believe that this can be regulated in a way that just makes sense. And so that's what we're going to be going to Washington to talk with them about. We're also going to be using some of our bandwidth here and our talents here within Flight Test and our awesome team we're going to be making a video, not necessarily for the public on the Flight Test channel, but specifically directed to the FAA. We're going to give them this video, and it's basically going to be like a recreational hobby 101, like what's happening in the recreational hobby space, who you guys, you awesome people out there are, what kind of all the different niches of the hobby, from our DIY planes that we love to DJI to race quads to FPV to basically all that stuff. And not only that, but how it's impacting people in reality.
We need you guys' help in a big way. We mentioned that we have the new website. Within that website, there's a survey. And kind of speaking to what Alex said, we want to represent you guys and represent every aspect of the hobby. This survey is going to be really important. It's going to be about 6 to 10 minutes of your time to commit to. And that's going to really tell us all about who you are, where you fly, what kind of flying you like to do. And it's not going to be so we can say, okay, our major demographic is this, and we're really going to hunker down and focus on only representing them. It's really to give us a picture of who we're representing and where those people are. So when we represent everybody as a whole, we can do so properly. Now, there is a part in the middle that is really near and dear to me, and I'm asking you to take your time and fill it out. It's where you can actually share your story. In the past, when we said with the NPRM and leaving your comment, it's not the place to be emotional, it's the place to be personal and factual. And that's how it affects you negatively, how it'll cost you, things like that. This is your opportunity to actually be emotional, share your personal story, and really go down many different avenues. At CES, I mentioned how this hobby was beneficial for community development, for families, for education, for career paths. This is the exact spot where I would really like to put faces, names, and personal stories with your permission to share it, where you can leave that, even upload pictures. So many times in the past we've gotten letters with pictures that frankly just make us cry. Mm-hmm. Everywhere from how a young child was struggling in school, got a passion for flight, and now he's a career pilot. Or a young dad was unable to connect with his kids for many different reasons, and he was able to do so through the hobby. Or even some really gut-churning ones where our warriors that came back from fighting for our freedom came back with PTSD and were struggling, and they were suicidal, and they were disconnected from friends and family and had anxiety issues, and that this great hobby actually brought them out of that slump and out of that dark place and removed those temptations to sadly end their life. I don't want to sensationalize anything. I want to make sure everything is personal, but I need you guys to basically share that story with your permission. So when we're talking to congressmen, when we're talking to the FAA, and we're talking about things like, it's important for education, I would love to have 20 stories to say, here is a packet of 20 stories and 20 names and 20 pictures that they're going to have to look at, and they're going to have to understand that this is how the hobby has moved this world forward in a positive way. And when we did educate them in the past, when we were sharing the stories and talking about the technology from the model, what Alex said was true. They were really shocked, genuinely shocked.
That's why we have a meeting with them next week.
Yeah.
It's not by chance that you get a meeting with like the head of like departments of the FAA, with just like 3 random guys. It was because they were impacted by it, and they said, geez, we better rethink this. Do you have time to meet? And so that's what we're going to be doing next week.
If you guys can help us out in a big way, do that survey, share your story, and I'll also check out the website. We're going to continue to add to this regularly, and there's going to be a lot more updates, as Austin said, coming in the very near future. But we do want to represent you well. We do want to represent the hobby well and be good stewards of this hobby. And I'm really confident that things are going to be turning in the right direction. And if I can encourage you guys, take an optimistic view. oftentimes when people are scared, they get angry easy and they lash out. Love each other within the hobby. Understand that if you're into gas-powered heavy models and someone over here is in electrics or FPV or racing, we're all a family. When I say that we're a family, I'm not just talking like brothers and sisters, but we're a family of flight. Every aspect of the hobby is connected and should be appreciated and celebrated. And yes, that does mean that we're going to have struggles and challenges because of it, but it's worth keeping the family together. None of us would look at our family as a whole and say, you know, my one kid is kind of behind here and we'd be better off without him. We don't do that. That's a really bad analogy. My son, by the way, is behind the camera. So. But seriously, you know, we are a family as far as how we are relationally, but we are a family within the world of flight. And I want people to really think on a higher level rather than kind of inwardly fighting, saying we don't need these people or it's because of these people that we're struggling. No, this is the time that we live in, and unfortunately the technology we have.
Yeah, and the reality is the most impactful thing that you can do is leave your comment. So if you haven't yet, it's okay. We still have time. When is it? When's the
March 2nd.
March 2nd is coming up. I know I haven't posted mine yet. I've been kind of thinking about it and formulating and taking your time and making a really kind of informed comment. We did a whole video on it, so if you, like I said, if you haven't checked out those videos, make sure you do. We do a video where we kind of give you guidelines on how to go about structuring your comment, and that will be the most effective way for the FAA to read.
So in case it wasn't completely clear, we really have been hustling on this website and getting this survey together, and it's been for a reason. We really think it's important to have some of the stuff that is available to us that we can show, we think, to the right people. And so if you guys do have a moment, I think it takes about like 5 to 8 minutes, depending on how much time you spend on it, to fill out the survey. We would really appreciate that, and we are going to use it. Again, if you're comfortable with us, you know, sharing it with some people that we think will matter, you know, please check the box that says that we can share that. Yeah, we're looking forward to updating you guys on our Washington trip. So we hope you guys subscribe and please share this channel, share the website, share the survey with people you think that would benefit from being able to fill that out, and we'll get you guys next time.
See you next time.